Hello there. I wanted to take this moment to go over the work that I had to do yesterday. So I noticed there were some issues, some of the problems. So I'll just go through it with you and we'll practice some more today. All right, so I'm going to not read the whole thing, but really what they want you to do is construct a cladogram based on this data, which is using nucleotides. And I think we had amino acids in the video I had last time. These are nucleotides, and we're looking at roughly the same gene. So we're comparing the gene and how they're related. They gave you a template here, and they want you to circle the location. The cladogram that represents the most recent common ancestor of the population shown on the table. And that's going to mean you can do that without even doing anything else. That's right there. So let's start by looking at the data. All right, we do have Luhaya down here. And as I'm reading this, I can't help but think of these are like Star Wars character names. I mean, Tibetan obviously is, you may have heard of that before, but these all seem like Star Wars characters. Anyway, just looking at the sequences, you can look at, you would want to start here, I suppose, since it's given to you, right? GAAA, GA, and we know that there are going to be two from the table that are related to it. So look for similarities. Here I've got two C's. Here I've got a G and an A, so that's a good start, right, with Han. G-A, G-A, A. Okay, now there's a G. There's one difference there. There's a G, and there's A. So everything's the same with this one except for this one G. So I'd write, Han, and we start there. And then you go back across the hallway. I figured that one out. The rest start with C, so let's go to the next nucleotide. I've got a T, which is different from Luhan, and I have an A, which is the same. Now, if I look at this guy, however we pronounce it, right, I have a difference here at C. That's one. Now, A is the same. Check. A is the same. Check. G is different. That's two differences. And then I have G and A, which are the same. Now, if I look at it, compare it to Han, right, the G is different, but then A, G, G, A. Everything else is the same. So that's where they're different. Han and whatever this guy is with that G and the C. So that's going to go here. All right, is it R? I can't even read. Typing print so small there. And now go to the other two, and you can compare these, right? C, T, T, A, C, and then there's one difference there. So it's going to be, either order is fine. Maybe I misspelled it. Tibetan, and then Denisovian. All right. Hopefully that helped. I'll see if I can get the other ones up here. All right. So this is a multiple choice question that we had. And I'm not going to give you the whole question. I just wanted you to pick, based on these nucleotide differences between 5 species, which one of these cladograms is the most appropriate. The first thing that sticks out to me when I see this is species 5. All right, when we have close to 30 for everyone, this is going to be my out group. All right, so initially, right away, I can say, okay, well, if 5's not an out group there, 5's not an out group there. So I can take out A and B. I'll label that for you. And D. Out groups, remember, are going to be isolated by themselves. And we have one out group here, and an out group here is 5. So you can do this problem in a couple different ways. You can keep parsing the data, or you can compare these two to see the differences. This data for D has 3 and 4 kind of separate. Here that's branched. Same with 1 and 2, it's branched at the end there. And if I look at the data, I see that the difference between 1 and 2 is 3 nucleotides, and the difference between 3 and 4 is 1 nucleotide. Whereas the difference between 1 and 3 and 2 and 3 are 19, and 1 and 4 and 2 and 4 are 18. So there's a huge difference between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which would mean that they're not necessarily going to be going off in this pattern. Right? It says that 3 and 4 seem to be closely related, 1 and 2 seem to be closely related, and they don't really seem to be related to each other necessarily. And then if you look at the relation to 5, 1 and 2, or 3 and 4, they're roughly about the same, but you have that 26 there for 2, which kind of shows you that, oh, maybe it's a little bit more closely related. than the others. So C is going to be the correct answer, right? It was 1 and 2. There's branching here, right? There's some deviation that happened between 1 and 2, but there's a lot of difference between 3 and 4. A lot of difference between 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4. So they're going to be branched off like that, not linear like this. Because 1 and 2 are very similar, 3 and 4 are very similar, but they are not similar to each other. All right, let's see if I can pull up another one. All right, so this one, I saw some of you had problems with this one as well. Another multiple choice one. This one's a little bit different. We're given organisms right here, and we're given different characters, all right, different traits that each of these has or does not have. So if it's plus, it has it. If it's empty, it does not have it. So one thing that stands out right away is having jaws. Everything has a jaw. All right, so not really helpful in anything, but that stands out to me. Next, 2 pairs of limbs seems to be the next one. And then I'll see, well, look at this, the fish. The fish is empty. It just has 2 jaws. So what is the fish? Must be your out group. Looking at the choices, this seems to be kind of out by itself. Fish are kind of in the middle of the mix here. Fish are in the middle of the mix here. So those are most likely out. I would, if I was in a rush, I would just pick this one. But let's look at this one. The fish are down here, but let's take a look to see how different they are. I feel like they're almost flipped. All right, the next one down, right, if I'm constructing my cladogram, I'd have fish. And then it appears that 2 pairs of limbs have been added. And then, so you would have, you'd have jaw on the line here, if you were doing the character-wise. And then you'd have 2 limbs. Put the limb there just to shorten it out. There, but what the amphibian doesn't have, that the others have, is that amniotic egg. All right, so again, moving on down. You have the amniotic egg, and then the crocodiles have the egg and 2 pairs of limb and the scales. So they're kind of next with the scales, which birds have. So you would, since they're pretty similar, you'd want the branching here. Let's see here, do they show? But what's the difference? It's feathers, right? Feathers birds have, the crocodiles don't. So you get the feathers on that line. And up here you'd have the scales, right? You'd have those keratin scales. You'd have feathers on this line. You'd have the amniotic egg here. All right, the big difference here for this one, besides the fact that it seems kind of out of order, the crocodiles and the amphibians, all right, are together, when in fact it should be crocodiles and birds. And then you're left with mammals, which have the hair, and you'll have hair here. And they have the amniotic egg, 2 pairs of legs. But, this branching here, it shows you scales, which mammals don't have. So if you have this branching, you can put traits in this to indicate any trait that the others don't have. All right, I hope that one helped. And let me see here. All right, I think I have time for one more problem here. This one, we got wrong as well. So we're given the derived characters, and we're given kind of a schematic cladogram. We're saying the characters have been added in 1, 2, 3 locations. And the question is, group 4 includes which of the following? So that's group 4. And we're given P and S, Q and T, R and W, and U and W. All right. So remember how it works, right? If we're doing a cladogram, you're adding a new trait here, you're adding a new trait here, you're adding a new trait here. All right. So where each of these lines are, you're going to have a new trait. So it does, it doesn't tell you the order, but really it doesn't matter if you're looking at group 4. All right, so if this was vascular tissue, this was seed, and this was flower, you would expect group 4 to have all 3 of those traits. And if I look at my chart, I've got a positive, a positive, a positive, and a positive, a positive, and a positive, which is P and S. So your answer there would be this guy right here. All right, if you have any more questions, let me know. And I can answer them on a different one if one of them particularly confused you. I hope it was helpful. Let's practice this again, and enjoy your day. And subscribe. Bye.